Good morning. Today is Monday, and today I'm going to be installing the radio. Later on today, I'm waiting for an AC adapter to come in. It's a really smart radio, so I think it has to be updated. Apps have to be downloaded, the whole shebang. Hopefully it works, because the stock radio does not play or turn on. Well, I suppose getting the bus is the first thing. That's what I'm on my way to do right now. Working on trying to get some more bolts out, remove some more of the seats. Maybe I'll show you that process. The paint job that I put on yesterday has to have 24 hours to dry, and although I'm sure it doesn't have to be exactly 24 hours, the unexpected rain yesterday kind of makes me a little weary of hopping on the second coat as soon as possible. There she is. Let's get to work. Do you like crowns? I used to like crowns. The thing we ran into yesterday is this thing right here. I believe it's a heater. I think it says heater right there. This thing runs all the time and gets pretty hot, I guess, as a good heater should. So this is what the back of the heater looks like, or all the connections at least. And that wire, I have no idea what it does, but it was there. The thing is, we come all the way here to the control panel. Right there, that number 7 and 8 slot, the empty one, is supposed to be the rear passenger heater relay. However, unplugging that, it still runs hot. That'll be something to check out today too, as we take out more and more seats. And this is directly underneath. Looks like it's been leaking a little bit of coolant. I don't know why that thing's just there dangling. And the lines just keep running all the way through the front. How do you think the bus is coming along, Mr. Spider? What about you, Mr. Fly? So this is kind of cool. You open it all the way, and then it'll stay locked open. And I didn't know this part. You push it all the way again, and it unlocks itself. In case I have to like move anything in, take things out, or maybe if I really just want a nice view of wherever I'm parked. There is this panel right above the door. It's on a piano hinge. It turns out it is the mechanism for opening the door. Just for good measure. Even though that's probably never going to move. Some random points here. Right back there. All right, let's give it a try. Still a little squeaky, but we will get to that another time because we still have to do a second coat of paint. So, went to start up the vehicle, and for some reason it wouldn't start. There was a neighborhood kid that was wanting to see the bus, and I told him to come on. And he messed with a lot of switches. And eventually, I kicked him out of the bus because it's my bus, and also we're trying to work. And this kid came back and still proceeded to still mess with things. I'm going to be very frustrated if that's the case. Bottom line is the vehicle won't start. I'm going back to trying to work on getting the seats out in the back first. Another one bites the dust. Oh. Found a quarter right here. It's gone now. And a building block. Just to give you a quick look at what taking these seats off looks like. Yeah, there's 2 bolts on the back of the seat, and then 2 more on the front of the seat that I've already taken off. And then on the very bottom, there's 4 more bolts. For the bolts that are in the wall plate here, I take a 14mm socket, put it on top, and then a 15mm on the bottom. The floor ones are not so easy. The nut is underneath the bus, and so sometimes there are things in the way. Since it's just me, I'm just taking the angle grinder, taking off the heads, and going from there. I've never used an angle grinder before, so I don't know if this is like a well-known thing or if it's just like a technique I've been doing, but I find it easier instead of putting this directly on what you're trying to cut, I find it easier to just kind of use a back and forth motion to kind of help, almost like a saw. It seems to be cutting through the bolt heads significantly quicker when I do it like that. There's a spot where I already went ahead and ground down the heads, 1, 2, 3, and then this one just kind of broke off in there. It's probably a good idea to wear gloves when you're doing this as well. I got a little tiny piece of metal in my hand. You probably can't even see it, but it's going to be annoying at the very least for the next few days. Worst case scenario, I lose a hand, possibly an arm. What it currently looks like, still working on a few more seats. Please pardon the dust. Currently working on taking out the second to last seat, and honestly I'm still pretty frustrated that the vehicle wouldn't start, and I don't know why. Going into building this bus, I read a lot of opinions online doing van builds or bus builds, and a lot of them said be ready for the vehicle to break down at some point. I just didn't know it was going to break down in the driveway of my buddy's house where I'm working on it. Like, all things considered, it could be a lot worse. I could be in a position where I can't get anything done today, and that would be god awful. But in the meantime, it is pretty hot. I've been trying to stay hydrated. I'm going to keep working on this second to last seat. One side completely out. Da-dun, 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 dun, 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 dun. Finally got all the seats taken out. It feels good to have a lot more room in the bus now. And I've begun taking down these electrical covers, and then take these down and maybe get to the roof. We'll see. Maybe I'll take down the walls instead. I'm not positive yet. It's kind of up in the air what the plan is now. It's hard to believe I got this far. Pretty sure the dead battery is from the auxiliary, well, I guess rear AC unit. There are switches for it on the front of the bus, and to my knowledge, those switches have never worked. I guess there's parasitic draw, because I had the same problem at the dealership when I went to pick up the vehicle, and the guy was nice enough to replace the battery. From now on, make sure all the switches are off. I'm thinking that I might repurpose these wire covers here, maybe to hide the solar panel wiring coming into the bus, but at the same time, maybe that'll be a place for moisture to build up. I'm not positive, but you know, it's an idea, something to go with, and I have the materials, so it's zero cost to me right now. Shout out to Samantha for helping me pull that down, and I'm working on getting this one out. There are a lot of screws just in these two panels alone, not counting the ones I messed up. These are all the usable screws. There's this weird adhesive stuff that they use to secure the panels. So we've been using this pry bar to slowly work our way over, and then push, over, push. Lots and lots of screws to reuse for the build. 3 panels!